You're a busy man. How about this schedule for the NBA? The momentum of Game 7 right into the draft, and you got a historic summer ahead of you.
You know, we built in all this extra time for the players, reduced the number of back-to-backs, 4 games out of 5 nights, built in extra games between the finals games. We didn't build an extra time for us between Game 7 and the draft. It's been quite a stretch.
Yeah, I'm going to start have to rent out my apartment. Not there all that often, but Commissioner, I know one thing that you're really proud of that's kind of evolved over the years is the international flavor of the draft here, and especially in the class of 2016.
No question. I mean, I've spent a lot of my time working in the league, traveling internationally, working on the distribution of our games through international networks, working on Basketball Without Borders, and it's paying dividends. And I think part of it is when we expose young people to games. It's young boys and young girls with the WNBA to the NBA. They fall in love with it. But we also know they need to get first-class coaching. They need to get access to great facilities. But then we are seeing the dividend of it tonight when you see these great young men coming in ready to play in the NBA.
The league and you always seem to be ahead of the curve in terms of technology. And now heading into tonight, there's rumors about what the top 2 picks will be. The social media buzz is going to be crazy tonight. What do you think all of that has had in terms of an impact on how people intake and consume the draft?
I think it's had an enormous impact, not just on the draft, but the entire game. Something that I've said a lot in the last few years is that it's been a leavening of the NBA markets, meaning that if you're a player in Oklahoma City, you have that same opportunity for global recognition as a player here in New York or Brooklyn. And I think that's changing the very nature of the league, because now players can focus on management, focus on opportunities to win, not just this sense that I got to be in a bigger market because then I'm going to have more opportunities. And with social media, these young men come into the draft, and many of them are already globally known.
Right.
In many of the cases, nobody's actually seen them play. They know what they wear.
Right.
They know what their favorite music is through social media, but that doesn't necessarily mean they've seen them play against top-notch competition. And we have to be careful here in the draft, I think, not to, anoint before their time who the next great player is. Somebody just asked me and said, well, who's going to be the next great player in this draft? I said, I don't know. It's likely to be someone whose hand I shake, but it's very difficult to know until you see them perform on the floor. Steph Curry, of course, was the 7th pick in the draft. Draymond Green was a second rounder.
Right.
He was the 35th pick in the draft.
A couple of years ago, you guys looked at some draft lottery reform, kept everything the same. Now Philadelphia is picking in the top 3 for the 3rd straight year. How do you view or determine if there's been progress made in that city?
Ultimately by their performance on the floor. And that's how teams should be judged. And Philadelphia has made some changes over the last few years, obviously in terms of their approach to the game and their management. And we'll see. I was in favor of changing the draft lottery. Of course, now we have all this additional room in the cap. We're seeing a lot of trades right now. Obviously, New York just made a big trade. And so there's many different ways of developing a team. And while I was in favor of some changes in the draft lottery, we don't want to overreact either. So we'll see. I think there's been a course correction a bit with the 76ers, but they still have to build a great team, and that requires culture. And I think what all of our organizations are seeing, there are not really any shortcuts to building a great franchise.
Away from tonight's draft for 1 second, your reaction to so many of the big-name stars declining the offer to play for Team USA this summer in Rio.
It's nothing new. I think guys have to make their own decisions. What's unique about NBA players playing in the Olympics and for their national teams, sometimes U.S. players from other countries, is they are sort of asked to keep coming back. If it were up to me, there would be an age limit for the Olympics. It would be 23 or under or something like that. The guys would serve their country, and then other next generation of players would come up. I think in fairness to these guys, our season this past season started on September 26th,
right.
And as you know, it just ended on Sunday. It's an incredibly long year, and players need rest, but they also have the right to decide they want to play for their country, whether it's the U.S. or another country, and I think those are very personal decisions. Often they're made with their families, depends on sort of their life circumstances, where they're from, desire to have kids. All those things go into the mix. So I respect their right to make those decisions. At the end of the day, now wearing my USA basketball hat, I have no doubt we're going to field a fantastic team.
Well, we always ask how the prospective draft guys feel coming up to shake your hand. This is your 3rd go-round. You still excited? Still get nervous? What's the feelings here?
I still get nervous. Just because you realize the magnitude of this night for these young men and their families, we have a lunch on draft day with all the top picks who are here tonight, and I get an opportunity to meet not just their moms and dads, their high school coaches, their AAU coaches, their best friends, their grandparents. Yeah. And you see, I mean, as young as they are, many of them from the moment they first touched the basketball, they dreamed of this night. And so I understand the significance, and I also understand that I'm playing a symbolic role. I'm the guy who happens to be the commissioner, right, and whoever it is.
It's a pretty big role.
It is, but I realize it's not me.
Right.
It's the guy who gets the title commissioner. And then when I shake their hand, it's a special moment. So I feel it's my obligation to take it very seriously. I mean, in a light way, but to make it a serious moment for them, and so that they can. It signifies a new journey for them, and that, you know, it gives them an opportunity to sort of reset a little bit in their lives and say, all right, now I've made it to this point, but in order to truly be a great NBA player, it's going to require an enormous amount of hard work along the way as well.
Well, hopefully you get some time to decompress and take a deep breath, because I know you've been a traveling man. It's been a busy schedule for you.
I'll see you at the Summer League.
We will be there in just a couple of days. Adam Silver, Commissioner Adam Silver, thank you so much for taking the time with us.
Thanks
Good luck tonight.